So have you thought of maybe creating new haptic wearable products beyond the line of one-touch products?
I mean, we have bracelets, we have a pendant, we have a bear.
Tell me more about the bear. Is it for kids or for anyone, or what is inside the bear?
A Bond bear is an interesting experiment. Is it for kids? Not necessarily. I think it's literally for anyone that wants to feel touch without necessarily having to connect with somebody else remotely, right? Like you're not receiving touch from somebody else. You're receiving touch from the bear itself, right? So that's where
What kind of
guess
touch are you talking about? Is it
oh,
it's always
in the case of
vibration, or what is it?
no, in the case of the bear, it's the hand, the arm that caresses you, right? It's literally like a little hug. Okay. There's a lot of room to experiment, and that's what the team is working on. Right now, we are looking at not just, right now, it's quite a complex way to, like the mechanics behind having a bear give you a cuddle are actually quite complex. We're trying to
Do you know
simplify
what
that.
kind of actuation technology used for that? Is it a force feedback or vibration motor?
That's force feedback, and it has these quite complex actuators that ensure that the arm kind of does the right movement. And then it has a strip on the back that is touch sensitive that allows you to, as you stroke it, you get that stroke back from the bear, right? So that you have that immediate feedback. But yeah, it's quite complex. We're trying to simplify it. Is it for kids? Right now, the price point will tell you it's not really for kids. It's for kids if you have the money, but it's because it's early days of that particular product line. It's actually quite pricey. We're bringing that price down, and we are introducing other elements. Right, one of our ideas is to introduce the heartbeat. So imagine you have your grandmother's heartbeat in your Bond heart. You pass it on to the bear, and so whenever you cuddle the bear, you feel your grandmother's heartbeat, right? So it's another vehicle for that emotionally charged haptic element, which is the heartbeat in this case.
Can we talk a bit more about the tactile sensation that bracelets can have? So it's a vibration, right? But as I understand, users can create their own vibrational patterns. Am I correct?
Yeah, that is correct. So we started with a very simple vibration, and then with BTM, so it's a Bond Touch More. Bond Touch More actually has two LRAs, so it's multi-dimensional, whereas the original Bond Touch is just one-dimensional. Multi-dimensional, that means you can have a sense of direction, so you can caress somebody or
Right.
convey that feeling of what a caress feels like. There's a vector to it, so that made it increasingly complex. We actually thought that that's what our users wanted, or what our users needed is, oh, they really need more and better touch. It turns out we weren't fully right on this particular insight. Users want to feel connected, and touch has a symbolic layer to it. And once you're in it, you can actually start taking the whole thing very seriously, whereas your users are not taking it as seriously as you might be. And so you really need to match the context, the outside context, to the tool that you're providing and the value you're providing. If you're in an immersive environment and you're building haptic technology for an immersive environment, you will need to couple both properly from an experience perspective. And it's going to be complex. If you are just out and about and you just receive your loved one's touch, it's almost impossible for you to derive context, very rich context outside of that particular touch. So the touch itself is perceived in its own right, as opposed to connected with some visual input. And so it's a mistake we made. We actually thought, look, if we dive deeper into touch and we make it multidimensional and all this and all that, users are going to love it. And yes, users love it, but the delta between having simple touch and multidimensional touch for our use case, which is long distance relationship without, the coupling of the visual dimension, is really not worth it. So that's a big lesson for us.
So quick question. You said by adding a second actuator, right, making it multidimensional, it became very complex. When you say complex, it became complex for product, it became, too cumbersome, too expensive, whatever, or it became complex for the users to use it?
No, it became complex from a product perspective, and we haven't really seen the upside of that particular investment. So there's an extra investment there. And then we talk to our users and our users say, yeah, it's great. It's okay. But what if it's just one touch?
They didn't feel the difference.
Exactly. That's fine. Yeah. All we want is touch. We're not into kind of multidimensional. Great if it is, but we're not going to go out of our way for it. So it's very important to match context to the tool you're actually delivering and the value you're delivering.
You mentioned a very important thing is that touch is basically, it needs to be simple in this particular context of distance relationship, right? People do not need all kinds of different meanings, right? Communicated through various vibrations, right? It seems like one type of vibration will be enough because they already know what it means because it's sent by this loved one or not.
I would correct you there by saying you are right. They like the simplicity of the touch itself as just, as just a vibration. But on the software layer, we have empowered them with the ability to give meaning to different touches, right? But that's different from the hardware, right? We're talking about an abstraction layer on the software side, and that's been very interesting. The learnings there have been that people really love to create their own love languages, right? Their own touch languages. We're not allowed to say love language, that's trademarked. So their own touch languages. And that means, like I'm going to send you 3 touches, and the software, the app translates the 3 touches into I love you. So you will receive 3 touches, you'll feel the 3 touches, and then if you go to your screen, you'll see I love you. That translator, that touch translator, has been quite successful. So you can actually keep the touch very simple because of the long distance relationship component. But then on top of it, you can actually build layers of complexity like this particular example.
That's very interesting. Are you thinking of collecting these love languages somehow? That would be interesting to see this library of different.
Touch is one of the love languages, right? So one of the 5 love languages. And
right. Then, but I say touch sensations that map to different love meanings or expressions of love or care. I'm sure there are many things.
But that's down to the user, right? That's where we kind of start acting like a platform, and we just try it out. Oh, you're creating your own touch languages. Amazing. Let's continue developing this and seeing how far our users are actually taking this. Yeah, that's exciting. But like I said, that's a software layer above the hardware.
I see. Well, I know that also in addition to haptics, you also have multisensorial kind of element. Basically, you have a visual element added where people can add different color to different tactile sensations, right? Do they do it themselves, or were these things predetermined already in a software? Or I was just curious, how does this mapping happen actually? Let's say red to this particular tactile sensation, blue to the other one, or whatever you have there. How did you design it? How did you make the decision also?
We're quite agnostic. So there's a color wheel and you can assign different colors to different touches. And the color wheel was actually primarily developed for like you have a particular color and I have a particular color, and so I kind of like, look. Some people use it in a way, in kind of a mood setting way. Oh, I'm feeling really bad today, so I'm going to be red. I thought, oh, I'm getting red touches. This is actually not good. Or, I'm jubilant and it's like pink or, like turquoise. So what we need to do and what we've done quite well is just provide the tools. And then people themselves will take those tools and the scars that they imply, because we like I said, there's not a lot there, right? You have just a very few tools. You can do touch and you can choose different colors, and they create their own languages, right? And they create their own routines, and it's just between them, right? It's like, no, it's just no one else will know. It's their own world, and I find that quite beautiful. That so much simplicity can generate rather a lot of complexity.
That's like a hub for creativity, actually.